Good day and welcome to our small talk about the future of mobility. Today we will be having with us Jordi Brunet Garcia, Secretary General of EGEA, the European Garage Equipment Association. I am going to ask him what's up in the industry around Europe and what challenges is the garage equipment sector meeting today and must be prepared to address tomorrow. So good day, Jordi. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Let's start with the elephant in the room, Jordi. How has COVID-19 affected the garage equipment business?
Thank you for the question. In the early part of the pandemic, in 2020, most of our customers were closed. So this led our companies to have a drop in sales and orders. Some of them had experienced problems because of that. But this is nothing compared to the other sectors most impacted by the pandemic. In the last year, the problem was different. The problem was in the supply chain with the shortage of raw materials, mainly semiconductors. Also the drastic increase of the transport cost. All these problems led our companies to be more flexible and efficient, able to adapt to the constant changes in the market during the last 2 years. A proof of the resilience of our market are the exhibitions that will come back in 2022 for the first time after the pandemic.
The automotive service and repair business is traditionally made of a large number of independent garages that are free from binding agreements with vehicle makers. But the trend now seems to be in favor of authorized services. Chain shops and franchises are definitely growing. What is happening, and is there a future for the independent aftermarket?
Yes, during the last years, we have seen a number of advances in the vehicle technology. This has and will have a big impact on the vehicle aftermarket. The complexity or the new complexity of the vehicles will imply the workshops to adapt, to not be left behind the technology. One of the pillars of this adaptation is the proper access to the repair and maintenance information. Also, the works will have to invest in staff, training staff and new equipment. Regarding the new equipment, Autopromotec will be a good chance to see all latest technology available equipment. Also, another way of improvement for the workshops is to use the new available digital platforms to manage the customer care and keep them informed and connected.
Several vehicle manufacturers are increasing their business in the after-sales industry. In the process, there are signs that they can make life difficult for independent operators by hindering access to in-vehicle data and functions. One way to limit such access is that of making repair and maintenance information above a reasonable level of cost. That sounds as a threat to free and fair competition. Is it so? And in your view, who and how should act on that?
Our market, we have a big imbalance between the vehicle manufacturers that are large company and most of the independent service providers, that more of them are small and medium-sized companies. Due to this fact, the vehicle manufacturers, they have a high power of negotiation when signing or when agreeing the needed contracts to access the necessary information for the reparation of the vehicles. Only regulation and effective surveillance of the market can guarantee the fair competition between both parts. We already have examples of the market trend with the increased cost of the repair and maintenance information from the vehicle manufacturers, the OBD access restrictions, and the new last effect is that the parts coding. These facts are showing how the market will evolve without a proper regulation.
Let's say that the contribution of independent services providers and garage equipment manufacturers is vital for the aftermarket industry because it boosts innovation and fosters fair competition. To what extent, in your opinion, access restrictions to in-vehicle data and functions may hamper this contribution?
Car connectivity is already here. Every day, thousands of cars are sold, connected cars, and the time it's running out to the aftermarket industry to not be threatened. The aftermarket is worth around 65 billion according to the latest studies. And automakers, the vehicle manufacturers, are keen to use the increasing connectivity of our cars to try to break into that market. That will destroy the independent aftermarket, as well as increasing the cost burden for the consumers because they don't have the right to choice. If the vehicle data access remains unregulated, the vehicle manufacturers will become virtually the only option for the vehicle repair and maintenance.
The European Commission is acting right now on access to data and cybersecurity related provisions. Is EGEA involved in the process, and what is EGEA's position?
EGEA is a highly reputed organization in Brussels. We are participating in the Motor Vehicle Working Group in charge of drafting both regulations. Regarding the access to in-vehicle data, the situation is not clear now. From more than 5 years, the European Commission has gathered evidences on the access to in-vehicle data with the purpose of the adoption of a sector-specific legislation that will consist in the update of the vehicle type approval regulation. But right now, in the last month, it seems that the Commission is moving towards an horizontal legislation as the Data Act, with some maybe specific sector provisions. In our opinion, this is not enough because our market is very specific. The EGEA position, together with other sister organizations, is to suggest the Commission to go back to the initial plan. Regarding cybersecurity, of course, we are not against the cybersecurity of the vehicles, but in parallel with the new restrictions imposed by the vehicle manufacturers, there should be channels to access the vehicle data for legitimate operators. Cybersecurity cannot be used as an excuse to restrict the access to data.
These times of disruptive changes in mobility technology and drivers' habits, let's talk about road safety. More specifically, what is called roadworthiness of the latest generation vehicles. Of course, we are drawn to be more concerned about the driver assistance systems. Can you tell us what's happening in the test equipment manufacturer sector?
Yes, the function of the advanced driver assistance systems impacts highly on the safety and security of the vehicle. In our opinion, it's really important to include the testing of this ADAS system into the roadworthiness testing. We believe that at least all mandatory ADAS systems that will comply with the general safety regulation should be tested. Our equipment, it's ready, but again, we have the same problem. The information for testing has to come from the vehicle manufacturers. As the information from these components is not standardized, as for instance, the emission testing information.
The current European PTI procedure is established by a directive designed on 10-year-old technologies. Since then, motor vehicles have changed a lot. Is the current PTI regulation still adequate for new cars?
The latest review of the PTI directive was good because it led to a partial harmonization of the vehicle inspection rules. But as you said, it was released almost 10 years ago. The target of the roadworthiness test is to ensure the safety, the emission requirements, to confirm that all related systems are working properly. Right now, the vehicles are equipped with new systems, sensors, and software that can be a matter of tampering, disabling, or inadequate repair and maintenance. Some examples are airbags, engine management, particulate filters, or AdBlue systems. The technical inspection has to involve in the same manner that the vehicle technology with new procedures and equipment. The more sophisticated the vehicle is, the more sophisticated should be the inspection.
The legislator planning something to fill the gap you just explained.
Yes, the roadworthiness package that consists in 3 different directives is under revision by the Commission since the last year. We are still at the initial steps with the just released the impact assessment, but according to the timeline shared by the Commission, the draft of the new legislation is expected by second quarter in 2023.
Are equipment manufacturers contributing to update the PTI directive?
Yes, of course, EGEA is contributing actively to the revision of the PTI directive. We are members of the roadworthiness expert group that is in charge of drafting this new legislation. We already replied, as I said before, the impact assessment questionnaire issued by the Commission, and we have written a position paper. This paper shares our thoughts on ways to improve the current inspection and how to update it according to the new testing technologies that our associated companies made available to the inspection bodies. There are new items to be checked, as I said before, the verification of the ADAS systems, exhaust particle measuring, improved suspension testing, and for instance, checking of the BICE lighting systems, among others. EGEA members will supply not artificial equipment to the test centers laboratory for studies committed by authorities on possible new safety and emission tests. All this new equipment will be on display in trade exhibitions in 2022.
Thank you very much, Jordi, for being with us, and of course, see you at Autopromotech 2022.
Thank you. It was a pleasure also for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all our viewers. This was Jordi Brunet, Secretary General of EGEA, the European Garage Equipment Association. See you in Autopromotech 2022.